Kyle Larson wins the Brickyard 400. However, NASCAR's officiating at the end of the race is going to be the bigger story, so let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, first things first, Kyle Larson wins his first Brickyard 400 oval race. One of the crown jewels, so add it to the list of crown jewels that he's won already. It was his 27th win of his career, moving him above Dale Earnhardt Jr. He is now 32nd on the all-time wins list. 6 wins at Ganassi, 21 so far with Hendrick. And he is now 1 win behind Carl Edwards and Rex White on the win list. So tie them at 28. He needs 1 more win. And Hendrick won in 2004, 2014, and now 2024. So that's a pretty cool stat. And I would love for that to be the conversation. However, NASCAR's officiating at the end of the race has been called into question. So let's just start with Elton Sawyer's response to that criticism via NASCAR.com.
Alex, we'd like for it to play out naturally. We want our teams to race to the checkered flag. We did everything we possibly could. We kept an eye on the 41. He got turned around. He was really giving a solid effort. And once he came to a stop, and we could tell that he had I think a flat left rear tire, he wasn't going to move. We'd already taken the white. We just couldn't run by there again. So it was unfortunate, but it was the right call.
Obviously, we saw that it was on the last lap, but would the call have been the same if it was earlier in the race?
I think, when it comes to safety, and we have cars that have spun out and they're trying to make an effort to move, we're going to do everything we can to stay green. But, again, it's a case-by-case basis, and, we'd have to, it's a lot of hypotheticals there.
Can you also take me through when the 6 abandoned the race and the restart and the re-choose?
Yeah, so we had already gone through the choose process. So we were coming to green when the 6 pulled off, which allowed the 5 to pull up, which transferred the control vehicle to the 12. And this all happens, fairly quick there. So, hindsight, I think we still let it play out the way it did. We'll discuss that more. If we had have thrown the caution, hypothetically, we wouldn't have gone through a choose process again. The 12 would have been the control vehicle, but he wouldn't have got lane choice. That's the way the rule is written.
So let's break down the first part of what he said there. They said we made every effort to get a green flag finish. We were keeping a close eye on the 41, and he looked like he was going to get moving until we realized he had a flat tire and that he was stuck and he wasn't going to be able to move. And at that point, it was a dangerous situation, and we couldn't, not throw the caution there in that moment. However, on TV, we had a clear view that the 41 had stopped moving quite a long time before they got to the straightaway for the start-finish line where they would have taken the white flag. So a lot of people are upset about that because they felt like in turn 4, it was very obvious that the 41 wasn't going to be able to get moving again. So there is that. There's a lot of people that are upset about that particular aspect of it, that caution. And I'm not going to defend that. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong either way. What we know from the past, what we've seen from NASCAR throughout its history, it is just so inconsistent with cautions. Sometimes cautions can come really quick. Sometimes cautions can come really slow. There's no rhyme or reason to it. If you pull against a driver or pull for a driver, you're always going to see that caution as, NASCAR threw that caution because of this or but not because of that. So I can see that argument, but NASCAR is consistently inconsistent with cautions. But if you look at the situation and you look at the scenario, I don't think it matters what NASCAR does in this situation. If they throw the caution, people are going to be upset that we're going to have another situation where Joey Logano won on 5 green-white checkers, right? So we're going to have another green-white checker. More guys are going to run out of gas. We're just going to have another mess and a disaster. People are obviously going to complain about that. We know they'll complain about that because we complained about that when it happened with the Joey Logano win this season on the 5 overtime deal. So another overtime was going to draw, ire and complaints as well. And obviously you see after this race, there's going to be controversy, ire, and complaints just as well. So NASCAR was damned if they do, damned if they don't. It didn't matter what they did in this situation. It was going to be bad. But let's go one restart before that one, of course, and that was when Brad Keselowski ran out of gas as they were coming to the green, pulls off the racetrack, and Kyle Larson moves up. He addressed that as well. And he said that they made the right call there. That was the right call, and they did the rules by the rule book, and everything was done like it was supposed to. And I will say they did do it by the rule book, exactly how the rule book said it. However, what I do think should have happened right there is you wave off the green flag and you just do another lap under caution, because I do agree with Ryan Blaney that it did put him at a disadvantage. Now, whether or not Kyle Larson jumped the restart or not, I don't even need to get into that debate, because it still puts Ryan Blaney at a disadvantage, and this is why. You saw Kyle Larson rolling up, so no matter what, even if they went at the same time, or even if Blaney went a little bit before Larson, no matter what had happened, or, obviously if Larson jumps it, that's an advantage too. But Larson has that rolling speed, and we talked about that with the Denny Hamlin restart against, Martin Truex Jr. That's what Denny Hamlin was trying to guard against. Well, NASCAR basically built it in for Kyle Larson, so no matter what on that restart, Larson was going to have an advantage because he had the rolling start, the rolling momentum going forward. So another lap under caution to get both of those cars dead even, so that you can come back and give the advantage to, even though he's going to be on the outside and he's the control car, and even on the in-car. If you listen to Blaney's in-car, and we'll get to that statement in a minute, but even in the in-car, he said, I don't care that he jumped. I was on the outside and I was the control car. I lost this race anyway. They gave it to him, the Golden Boy, and we're going to talk about that quote here in just a minute anyway. So Blaney was just upset that he was stuck on the outside as the control car, and he wants a different process going forward. Blaney's process that he wants going forward is this. He wants NASCAR to re-rack the field and since he's now the control car, he wants the ability to choose the inside lane. So it's interesting. Going forward, NASCAR is going to have to really look at that and see what's right and what's wrong. I don't know, one way or the other. I think it's such a freak thing. We're not going to have the leader pull off the racetrack right before the green flag very often. So I don't know that we necessarily need to make a rule, because it's just such a freak thing for it to happen. But I don't know. Maybe they can look at the process going forward, and if that happens, you do another lap under caution, and the rest of the field doesn't get to reset. But the control car should get to pick whether it wants to be inside or outside, because he did earn that advantage of going inside or outside as becoming the control car with his position. The position should matter since we've gone to double file restarts. Back in the day, this wouldn't have mattered, though, because we would have had single file restarts. And if the leader pulled off, it wouldn't matter, because the next man in line is going to have the advantage anyway. So it's all kinds of stuff you can throw out there. But just it's such a fluke thing that it is what it is, and it's going to grab a lot of criticism. And from Kelly Crandall, here is that quote that I was talking about. Blaney is furious on the 12 radio about the race restarting when Brad Keselowski ran out of gas. Kyle Larson moved to the front row. He says NASCAR just gave the race to Larson, effing Golden Boy. And Larson did troll him later on in the day, sending the cool emoji saying thanks NASCAR, handshake, to retweeting that quote right there. So Larson getting a little bit of trolling in on the Golden Boy comment. And that Golden Boy comment is going to get the vast majority, because it's salacious, it's spicy, it's clickbaity, right? It's going to get the vast majority of the conversation. But let's see what Ryan Blaney actually had to say after the race, because when he puts the race car helmet in, if you've ever listened to his audio, the demon comes out. He's got demons, he's got emotional problems when he's got that helmet on, and once he takes the helmet off, the pressure is relieved and the demons go away. So what he says in the race car, I don't ever really pay attention to, because he's just insane in there. But when he actually got out of the race car, this is what he had to say. Via Dustin Long.
Pissed. I mean, I'm pissed. I told my guys, like, I'm ticked off, but I don't know who to be ticked off at. Like, there's no one to be ticked off at. It's just like the racing luck. Like, the break that he got and the hardship that we got right there with that happening at that time just killed our race. Like, we put ourselves in the perfect spot to win, and just that weird circumstance, it just benefited him and just killed our race, of any chance for us to win. So that's what I'm upset about. I'm not mad at anybody. It's just lady luck. I'm just pissed off at. It just sucks, man.
So you see there, to sum it up, Ryan Blaney, he doesn't even know who to be mad at. And I think that's probably the best way to look at this whole ordeal, this whole situation. And that's kind of where I fall on it too. I do agree with exactly what Ryan Blaney said. It's just really, really bad luck. It's a really, really frustrating situation to be in. It's such a fluke thing that Keselowski ran out of gas. You can make the argument that Keselowski should have pitted, but you can throw the blame on him. You can throw the blame wherever you want to be. But I do agree with Ryan Blaney that it's just such bad luck. It was just such a bad luck situation to happen. You can blame who you want to blame, because you're gonna. Some people just need to blame something. But at the end of the day, it was a fluke, freakish thing, and no matter what happened, there was going to be a ton of criticism, whether it be NASCAR making the call, whether it be NASCAR making the call on the Ryan Preece deal. it was just such a weird ending to such a pretty good race up until this point before the crash fest at the end. That technically, I guess, started with Martin Truex Jr.'s second caution. I guess that's where it actually all started. That flipped the race on its head, and then from there it just got more bizarre. Kyle Busch, his hell season continued. Speaking of which, let's get into the good race, bad race. Good race for Kyle Larson, of course. He wins the Brickyard. Tyler Reddick continues his streak of really good finishes here as of late, finishing in second. You got to put him up there as one of your favorites to be in the Final Four, along with Ryan Blaney here, who continues another, he won the championship last year. I would consider him to be in the Final Four as well. Seabell, nobody ever talks about him, but just another typical Seabell day. Finishes fourth. I don't think I heard a word about him all day, but there he goes, fourth place. Bubba Wallace, fifth place, needed that points run. I needed that run for the points. It's a good run for him. Todd Gilliland, Pickle Todd. Ever since he's become Pickle Todd, he has been on fire. So another good run for the 38 of Todd Gilliland. Austin Cindric needed a good run as well after that win early on the season. You can say the same thing about the man here in 8th place, Daniel Suarez. Noah Gragson with another top 10 run in the 10 car. Will he ever be able to overcome that points deficit? Who knows? But if you consider him to be in the Rookie of the Year battle, since he didn't get a full rookie year last year, we'll take a look at those rookie points here in just a minute as well. Good run for him. Chase Elliott, another good top 10 for him. Had the weird race call there, where NASCAR sent a very vague email saying that you can't enter the racing surface, but you can arc out and go wide on the turn there. So that bit him, and his race never really recovered really from that. But he had a really good race car, so he was another one that probably would have been contending for the lead there at the end if he hadn't got bit by a weird NASCAR call. So the NASCAR calls in this race are actually going to be the bigger story regardless, because that was a very vaguely written rule. If you're going to say you can't go above the white line, then just say that. Don't say you can't enter the racing surface, but you can arc it wide. Like, that was very vague, and I do understand him, and I think Brad Keselowski got caught with it too, so I understand both of their arguments. It was a poorly written rule. Try to say that real fast. Rest of the top 15. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., good run for him. Carson Hocevar, good run for him. Austin Dillon, 13th, good run for him. That team definitely needs the momentum, and they've had some better runs here as of late. Corey LaJoie in 14th, and Ross Chastain in 15th. And you can't have a good race without a bad race, so let's look at the bad race, unfortunately. BJ McLeod finishing dead last, winning Brock Beard's last car, the winner on Earth 2, as we do it over here. BJ McLeod, crew chief Carl Long. Josh Berry had a bad race. He took the Panini car and unfortunately head first into the wall with Caitlin Clark riding along. Joey Logano had a good car. I liked his strategy there, but he got caught up in a caution. Jimmy Johnson just can't finish. He's doing these one-off races and he can't finish one. Denny Hamlin had a car definitely capable of winning the race. It looked like at points. He gets another poor finish here in 32nd. And then, unfortunately, got to say it again, Kyle Busch, just having a cursed season here, finishes 25th. Gets caught up in a wreck with Denny Hamlin. To me, it was just a racing deal. Like, he was going low and pushed up, and Denny Hamlin was trying to get as close to his door as possible. Just a tight racetrack. To me, it was just a racing move. That being said, he's just had so much bad luck. You can put the blame on whoever you want to, but at the end of the day, you got to say, regardless, he has had some good cars, and he has also had some really bad luck. He's also made some poor decisions. He's just having a cursed season. He's cursed this year, and it's unfortunate. No other way around it. But he was going to have a top 5, top 6 finish, and once again, cursed. And that leaves us with the regular season points championship. Kyle Larson moves above Chase Elliott. He now leads Chase Elliott by 10 points in the regular season chase for the title. Tyler Reddick in the mix too at 734 to the 749 of Kyle Larson. Those three, I don't know if Denny Hamlin can get back into it. So I think the regular season is between right now Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson. And that aforementioned Rookie of the Year battle, this is why I said if you considered Noah Gragson, he didn't reapply for Rookie of the Year, but if he had, it would be interesting because right now this is the Rookie of the Year battle. 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Josh Berry, Noah Gragson, and Carson Hocevar sitting there very close, 5 points between the lot of them. And here are your playoff standings. Right now, Kyle Larson would be leading it with 4 wins. The other guys here with 3, those being Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Christopher Bell. Then below them with 2 wins is Ryan Blaney. Everybody else with a single win below that. 6th, 7th, and 8th, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, and Brad Keselowski. Alex Bowman, Joey Logano, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, all with 1 win as well. Then 13th, down to 16, no wins. So these guys are points racing until they can get that win. Martin Truex Jr. plus 108. He's safe. Ty Gibbs, plus 42. Another engine problem for Ty Gibbs, so that's got to be concerning. That's 2 weekends in a row. Chris Buescher here in 15th, plus 17. He does not feel safe. Ross Chastain, plus 7. No way he feels safe. And then here's the cut line, minus 7 for Bubba Wallace. Probably the only guy who can still point his way in. He's doing a pretty good job of doing that with these last few runs that he's had here. But everybody below him, Chase Briscoe, minus 83. Kyle Busch, minus 112. Pickle Todd Gilliland, minus 118. Those guys are going to have to be looking for wins to get into this playoff and then bump one of these drivers here on the cut line. Manufacturer's points battle is interesting as well. 29 points separate first to third, so it's a good tight battle there. Chevrolet at 799, Toyota 786, 770 for Ford, and like I said, 29 points between the three there, so it's up in the air for anybody there. So yeah, what a way to end it. 2-week break for the Olympics. I'll get some content out here as it comes. I expect the schedule to be released, so we will at least have that video, but I'll try to make some more as we go on here. But yeah, that's it for this one. Probably rambled on long enough, so going to cut it short here. If you got a question, comment, or anything like that, leave it down in the comment section. I'll try to get to as many of them as I can. If you made it this far, would love to have your subscription. If not, I'll just keep making these things, and if you're already subscribed, you know, I appreciate you guys as well. And if you want to visit the merch store, the link is down in the description. That helps out the channel as well. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.